This is Tarot by Fergus with a tarot reading for the 7th of August. Here I'm using the Deviant Moon Tarot by Patrick Valenza. It is my favorite deck. So there's been kind of a wave of a funk that's been going through a lot of people, certainly a lot of people in my sphere. So here we have a reading to try to figure out what's going on and why things are so fucked up, why people are feeling so like hopeless and depressed and all of this stuff. So when we look at this, our root card is here in the Magician. So this usually shows the real matter that is actually happening, and then it shows up that way. So down here with the Magician, this just shows a need to be recognized and sort of being able to show off who we are and what we do, the stuff that we're good at and the stuff that we're proud of in ourselves. And here with this, it's like that thing has not been happening. So there's this drag that's happening in everyone because it's like no one sees what you can do. No one is like appreciating all of your skills. And where that had been true before, suddenly those things are taken away. So then we look at the meat and potatoes here. So we start with the Fool. And the Fool in this case is basically saying something has changed. We're kind of at a new level here. So things are working a little bit different than they were working before, and that's something that we're going to have to deal with. Like the way that we did things, even a month ago, we can't do things the same way now because some shit has shifted or changed. So we're basically at a new level and it's gonna work a little bit differently. So that's followed up immediately by the Temperance card. This is tricky. The Temperance card is just about trying to understand things that you would normally not want to try to understand. Things that maybe you hate or like things that piss you off. And the Temperance card is really trying to understand what's happening, trying to look at things from other angles and then accept the results. Looking at something, trying to understand it, and then accepting what you come up with. That's pretty much what's happening there. So we've got something changing and us being at a new level in the Fool, followed by the Temperance card, which is basically saying like don't throw away the results as you look around and see what's changed. Just sort of like try to understand it and work with it from there. So this goes into the King of Wands. And the King of Wands is going to be a little more clear when we look at the card that's on the top. But the King of Wands here basically sets the example. So the King of Wands, you see all the kids gathered around him, and he's not lecturing the kids or anything. He's not telling the kids what to do. He's just being himself, and the kids naturally want to be like him. So they follow his example. So basically the King of Wands is just saying like lead by example. Make sure you're walking the walk. Make sure you're not being a hypocrite, whatever it is that you believe that your life should be like, you better be living it. And if you expect a certain behavior out of someone else, you better fucking be doing that yourself, So the King of Wands is really leading by example, and it requires this sort of mature energy of the king to sort of navigate through all of this emotional garbage and the other stuff that's been welling up. Now, this is when the King of Wands becomes really key here, because the top card here is just showing like I was trying to find some higher understanding of what is really happening. And a reverse Three of Cups is saying that this emotional funk and this sort of pain, it's shooting through a bunch of people. The three shows that this is an experience that we're sharing with the people that we're tied to. So when the Three of Cups shows up reversed, this is a common experience. A bunch of people in our sphere are going through it, and their energy is basically going to harmonize with ours, and it's going to make it that much worse. And if you feel like you have conquered it, then the next day you might get hit by a wave and it comes out of nowhere. But it's really coming from all of the people that you're connected to. So it's like a shit wave. This is a big shit wave that's going through everyone. And that's when we go back here to the King of Wands, and it's just saying you kind of have to lead by example. And if you see your friends going through this shit, we have to, in ourselves, sort of like stay on top of it, so we can show the people in our lives how to deal with it. But coming back here, remember the Fool, and it's like something fundamental has changed. So things aren't really going to be working the way that they did before, and try to keep that in mind as you're like making your plans or whatever, because plans now, you just have to plan them a little bit differently because something has changed, which brings us to Temperance, which is like really trying to understand what that is, But going back to the Magician, it's also true that any sort of performance or putting yourself out there would probably be great, that seems to be the thing that is missing, is this sort of recognition of what we're awesome at. So when in doubt, just do some of that. So there we go. This is like a half moon, half waxing moon in early August, and hopefully this shit wave does not last forever. Good luck.